Yo, good morning, good morning, good morning to you, freedom marchers, freedom family, freedom lovers, and freedom fighters. Snapzilla Gorillas in the building, hitting y'all with this quick live stream, and I'm doing it early just to get it out the. Look, I'm getting it out the way, y'all. I know some of y'all might still be asleep or doing other things, getting ready for church and all that whatnot, but I had to do it. Yesterday, I was gonna delete this. I wasn't gonna do this because I was like, man, you know what? Homeboy is crashing out. He's sad that Tonka Truck Davis has made a complete ass of his own career. And so, of course, being that he built his channel on the back of Tonka Truck Davis and shitting on any other fighter, shitting on any other contemporary of Tonka Truck Davis that may present a challenge to him, you know, now that Tonka Truck Davis has disappointed him, he has to lash out. And I was like, you know what, man? I'm gonna leave it alone. Because he did a video, you know, every now and then I'll peep and see what these guys are talking about. And, you know, he wanted to get into the Brian Norman Jr. or Brian Norman versus Devin Haney whole situation. Salute to Queen Sister Cameron. Queen Sister Cameron is in the building. Salute to you. And this feud between the Haneys and the Normans can't just be fight buildup. It can't just be fight buildup. All this shit, blessing to you as well, Queen Sister. All the back and forth, all the shit that Brian Norman Sr. is talking about Bill, you know, and these allegations about sniffing coke and all this other shit. You know, it can't just be part of the fight buildup, right? Of course it has to be more than that, because Tonka Truck Davis has fucking destroyed his own career, a career that was shaky to begin with, a career that wasn't very impressive to begin with, you know. So he has to lash out, right? Fun for life. Salute to you. Good. I'm pretty good. On my way to get my workout in. You know, y'all know how I do on the weekends. But nonetheless, the whole thing between Brian Norman Sr. Making all these allegations about coke sniffing and this and that and the third, and you know, Bill says he's winning in life and all this shit. But Brian Norman Sr. of course has to bring up Bill's past. Of course, launched the ad hominem attacks, right? Launched the ad hominem attacks about some shit that happened in Bill's past to kind of tear him down. Of course, that's what they want to do, right? It's okay when Brian Norman Sr. does it to Bill, but if Bill puts up a mugshot of Tonka Truck Davis due to activities that he is currently in trouble for, oh, that's a problem. But it's okay to do it to Bill, who has long since paid his debt to society and has come out to be a better man, raised his children to be elites in their fields. No, we have to go back 20 or 30 years to talk about Bill going to prison. Okay. If that's what y'all want to do, I don't want to hear a motherfucking thing when anybody talks about Tonka Truck Davis legal situation and anybody else's legal situation. But getting forward, Knockoffpittypat wants to incite something, right? Now listen, Brian Norman Sr. talks some shit. Devin talks some shit to Brian Norman Sr., saying that he had a much better career, that Brian Norman Sr. got knocked out multiple times in his career and all this other stuff. And therefore, what happens when that happens? You know, according to Knockoffpittypat, like when Gabe Rosado was talking shit about Devin suing, and Devin didn't feel like he had to explain himself and why he was suing to a Gabe Rosado. Devin told Gabe Rosado, look, man, your career was trash. You got your ass beat every other day. You have 20,000 losses. So no one really cares about your opinion. Of course, it's because Devin is deflecting. And so Knockoffpittypat wants to shit on Devin for not addressing Gabe Rosado about the suing. And of course, I covered that as well back when he did that. And I showed you guys that Knockoffpittypat likes to lie. He's a liar. Talking about Devin Haney is suing for fighting when we know that's not the truth. Realize, salute to you. Good morning. Unc just likes to hear his own voice. Okay. And so what if I do like to hear my own voice? So what? Anyway, there's a couple things I want to highlight about Knockoffpittypat's video. Number one, when Dev said that Brian Norman Sr. career was ass, Brian Norman Sr. said, okay, you fight my son, let me fight your daddy. And of course, Knockoff wants to act like that was a cook. Like, oh, look, you know, Brian Norman Sr. ate with that comment when, listen, Bill is not a fighter. He's not a professional fighter. He never was a professional fighter. So how does that make sense? How does that make sense? Bill is not a professional fighter. So why is it that if Brian Norman Sr. calls out Bill Haney for a fight, how does that make sense for a sanctioned fight? Bill's not a professional fighter. Yeah, I repo cars for sure. Anyway, that's an issue, right? Why would Bill fight Brian Norman Sr.? What would that do? That doesn't make any sense. But Bill Haney is not a fighter. He trains his son, and he manages his son's career, and he's a promoter. So how is it that if Brian Norman Sr. calls out Bill, that makes Bill look like some type of sucker because he's not accepting the challenge? Make it make sense. Bill is not a fighter. I'm not saying he can't fight, but he's not a professional fighter. Brian Norman Sr. is a professional fighter. Why are you calling out a professional fighter? Why is a professional fighter or a former professional fighter calling out a man who's never been a professional fighter? Space Force Royce asked if I was in the Army. Yes, I was. Ghetto Boys. Why are you here then if I'm just yapping? Let me help you out. I can tell when you guys don't want to be here. So I'm going to go. I don't know why you're here. And y'all love to bitch and moan about how I talk and what I'm talking about. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here, because what you're doing is not free speech. What you're doing is you're wasting time. You're wasting your time, so I'm gonna get you the fuck out of here. Anyway, it doesn't make sense to call out Bill because you have you have nothing. All you can do is call Bill a cokehead. All you can do is go back 20 years, 20 or 30 years when Bill was in prison. When Bill's no longer in prison, Bill is no longer a criminal. He is a practicing Muslim who works for his son. But you can't shit on that, so you got to go back to his criminal past. And of course, Knockoffpittypat has to highlight it because his favorite fighter ain't doing shit. And so therefore he has to go in on Bill and Devin as per usual because he hates Bill and he's a Devin Haney hater. He's a Bill hater. It's okay. So that didn't make sense to me. It's like, and knockoff, if you feel like Bill is a sucker for not accepting the fight with Brian Norman Sr., if you think that he's pussing out or ducking or whatever, it's like, well, why didn't you accept to fight me when you called me a hoe? It's like the same thing, right? No, it's not really the same thing, because I'm not a professional fighter. You aren't a professional fighter. It makes more sense. If you have a problem with Bill not wanting to fight Brian Norman Sr., then why do you have a problem with accepting the fight with me? It doesn't make sense. It's the sheer hypocrisy. Realize it's, yeah. So, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, this is a fight buildup. This is fight promotion, right? That's all this is. Brian Norman Sr.'s running around talking shit. That's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. I have no problem with it. And then another line of bullshit that Knockoffpittypat has fed, is trying to feed to his viewers out there, is that Bill is somehow eating off his son. Like, or he said this about Bill and Brian Norman Sr. He said Brian Norman Sr. is living off his son's career, or, you know, all this other shit. He's saying the same thing about Bill Haney. I'm very confused. I'm confused. If Brian Norman Jr. and Bill Haney, or if Brian Norman Jr. and Devin Haney weren't fighters, they wouldn't have anything and all this other shit. Well, Bill Haney had bread before his son started fighting, before his son started making money in the sport of boxing. On top of that, Bill Haney fronted the money to start DHP and gave it to his son, and now he works for his son. What's wrong with helping your son build something? Just even with Brian Norman Sr. Brian Norman Sr. is his son's trainer. What's the problem? What's the problem? If you work for somebody, you should get paid, right? Even if it's your own child. I don't understand how that's a problem, but Knockoffpittypat is trying to make it a problem that Bill is working for his son. What's the problem with that? There's nothing wrong. If my son becomes an adult and he has a passion for something and he needs something built around that, right? Maybe I help him start his own business, or I help him, whatever I help him do to establish himself to move forward in whatever he wants to do. What's wrong with that if I continue to work for him as a CEO or as the president? What's wrong with that? You're basically shitting on Bill Haney for guiding his son into an illustrious and successful adulthood. Bill Haney helped his son succeed in his career, as did Brian Norman Sr. So now you're going to shit on fathers. You're going to shit on fathers for helping their children excel in life, for guiding them and being there for them. If Bill wants to focus 100% of his life on helping his son progress in his career, now that's a problem. If Brian Norman Sr. wants to do the same thing for his son, that's a problem now. What about Bosi? What about Abdullah Mason's father with his 5 sons? Is Abdullah Mason's father living off his son? So help me understand it. So any father that's in the sport of boxing that's training their son or is in their son's career, in their son's life throughout their fighting career, they're all pieces of shit who are riding on their son's coattails. Help me understand what the problem is with that. And again, you're saying that Bill would not have any money or would not have any level of wealth if it weren't for his son. When Bill was already had a lot of bread when his son started his career. So I mean, I don't understand what we're talking about. Completely asinine takes on this whole situation. If Brian Norman Sr. wants to talk shit every day, if he wants to go around doing all these interviews, talking shit about Bill, calling him a cokehead, calling, shitting on Devin, saying his son's gonna knock Devin out and I'll fight Bill and all this other shit, and Bill does not entertain it, and he just, so what, right? It depends on how much success the son has over the father. Well, in my opinion, the goal, what the father should want for their son is for the son to be more successful than they were or ever could be. Yeah, I think the same thing realized, but of course, cats like Knockoffpittypat, because their fighter ain't on nothing, ain't on shit, they have to shit on the fighters that are on shit, that they've been shitting on since they believed their fighters were about something. Now that Tonka Truck is going to be fighting Jake Paul and is basically making an ass out of his own career, he has to, of course, find ways to bring attention to other fighters, in particular Devin Haney, in order to distract from what his fighter isn't doing. Right? Salute to Linda Mays, Dawson CP Boxing. Salute to you. Good morning. Good morning to Yasir, Yasar. Bill, it's boxing stuff. Yasar. Salute to the Lawrence Effect, dropping that $5 super chat on your boy. He says He says it's only a problem when black fathers are the force of it, with their fathers with circles back to the core hate for Devin and Mayweather in the first place. Yes. It's and this is Knockoffpittypat is I don't know if he's black or not. I think he's Arab or so. I don't know what the fuck Knockoffpittypat is. But of course, he doesn't care about any of that, right? Because he is a stomp down Devin Haney hater. He's a stomp down Bill Haney hater. And of course, he's going to use this fight to try to cast Devin Haney in a bad light. Just like he did, he dropped another video. He of course he has to bitch and complain and moan about Devin saying that he takes more risk. He has taken the most risk at his age than any other fighter in the sport of boxing right now. And in order to prove his case, he can't use Devin Haney. Which one am I betting on winning? I don't really bet on fights. PT 12, but I think Devin Haney is going to beat Brian Norman Jr. Based on skill, based on experience, based on having gone through the fire, based on his resume. There are a number of reasons I'm betting on Devin Haney. Not betting, but I think Devin Haney's going to win. Now, Devin said he's taken the most risk of any other fighter at his age or whatever. Of course, Knockoffpittypat has a problem with it. He has to bitch and moan about everything that Devin does and everything Devin tweets. So here I am. I got to bitch and complain about Knockoffpittypat bitching and complaining. It's just how the world works, right? It's the circle of bitching life. Now, it is true, the Lawrence effect. But and I was gonna play it. I was gonna play the video, but fuck it. It would take a whole lot longer than me just paraphrasing what Knockoffpittypat said, which is basically he couldn't point to his favorite fighter because he knows Tonka Truck Davis has taken zero risks in his entire career, and if he did, he bitched and complained about it. Like when he had to fight Pedraza, and after he beat Pedraza, he complained about, oh, they was trying to set me up to lose, right? All that, you know what Tonka Truck does. He doesn't take any risk at all whatsoever. Of course, he can't use that. He has to go all the way to 112 pounds to highlight Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez's career. Because we know Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez is an elite level fighter who has taken on many challenges. Would I say that he's taking more risk than Devin? I would not say that. I wouldn't say that. Did he fight Gabe Rosado and Quadres and all this other stuff? Sure. Are they future Hall of Famers? Perhaps. But when he goes in to explain his position, he likes to leave out shit, right? Now, he talks about Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez fighting 2 Hall of Famers. And like Devin never fought a Hall of Famer. And when he talks about Devin Haney's risk, he talks about Kambosos. He shits on Kambosos, of course. Shits on Kambosos, even though Kambosos was a unified champion, right? A unified champion. He was a lineal champion. Clearly beat. What's his name? Clearly beat Teofimo Lopez, and of course, he has to shit on that. Okay, you shit on Kambosos. You completely skips over Lomachenko, just leaves him out in order to shit on Devin's career. You have to leave out an entire fight, an entire undisputed defense. The Rig Logan Paul fight, which one? How do I rate today's fighters? It's completely different. Completely different eras. Completely different eras. Less rounds. Less, guys were fighting back then. They fought on a regular basis, like damn near like it was a full-time job. Like they were fighting every 2 days, and it's a completely different era. Like you can't really as far as styles are concerned, I mean, there were less variations in styles, but I mean, it was just a completely different era. It was like completely different mindsets to these fighters. These fighters weren't necessarily making millions and millions of dollars per fight, so they had to be more active. They fought more rounds. They were built different, right? They were forged differently. But skips over Lomachenko, who we know Devin beat Lomachenko. Lomachenko was a clear future Hall of Famer. Completely skips over Lomachenko, skips over Linares, who we know is probably going to be in the Hall of Fame. So that's 2 Hall of Famers right there that Devin has beaten in his career. He took risks when he went to Australia twice to fight Kambosos in Kambosos' backyard under Australia's Boxing Commission, right? He had to so clearly beat Kambosos in order to ensure that he pulls off the victory, right? He moves up to 140 to fight Regis Prograis, who was, yes, did he have a bad performance in his previous fight? Sure. But every fighter has bad performances. That doesn't mean that they're not they're not good because you lost your last fight. See, this is the problem that we are having in the sport of boxing, where if you lose, all of a sudden you ain't shit, right? But okay, so he goes up to 140 to fight Regis Prograis, who was still a boogeyman at 140, right? Regis Prograis, no one was shitting on Regis Prograis until right before they fought, and now all of a sudden Regis Prograis ain't never been shit, which is bullshit, right? And then he fought Ryan Garcia, who came in overweight, 3 pounds, has a vicious left hook. That was a risk, just still taking the fight, even though Ryan Garcia did not uphold his end in terms of the weight. That was another risk Devin took. Okay. Then we find out that he was on PEDs. So now you have to give that to Devin, even though he didn't know that Ryan Garcia was on PEDs. It was still a risk. Right? Then, okay, he goes up to 143, basically goes to welterweight to fight Jose Ramirez, who is all of a sudden now he ain't shit. Now we want to shit and say, Jose Ramirez is over the hill. No one said that before Devin fought him. Jose Ramirez lost to 2 people. Josh Taylor and Arturo, not the guy that fought fucking Teofimo last. I forgot his name. I be forgetting names, y'all. But nonetheless, after going through what he had gone through with Ryan Garcia, everybody said he was traumatized, right? Everybody said, oh, Devin's traumatized. Devin's this, Devin's that from Ryan Garcia. He'll never be the same again. Then everybody said, well, Jose Ramirez, he doesn't have the power that Ryan Garcia has, but he does have a good left hook. And that's something that Devin is going to be having an issue with. Oh, the left hook from Jose Ramirez was an issue until Devin showed that it could no longer be an issue, that he would make it not an issue, outbox the shit out of Jose Ramirez beautifully. And of course, we want to say, Knockoffpittypat says that Devin fought like a pussycat. Even though Devin didn't run, he just used lateral movement and great footwork, set up his combinations, checked hook the shit out of Jose Ramirez the entire fight, set up beautiful combinations, set up beautiful counters. But of course, we want to shit on that because why? Well, it was a risk going against Jose Ramirez, who has a decent left hook and has a decent amount of power, and going in knowing that Jose Ramirez is going to try to land that left hook. That wasn't a risk, right? Now he's going up against Brian Norman Jr., and that's when we say, oh, that's the first risk. Brian Norman Jr. Devin fighting Brian Norman Jr. was the first risk. Is the only risk that Devin has ever taken. Bullshit. I love Muay Thai, Ahmad Tabata. I love Muay Thai. I actually I train in Muay Thai. So I train Muay Thai. It's my favorite. I train in Muay Thai and boxing. Matter of fact, I'm about to go right now and do some Muay Thai and boxing, shadow boxing. Yeah, I love Muay Thai. Muay Thai is a dope ass combat sport. Very, 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 very efficient. Not a very flashy martial art, but it's efficient. It's straight to the point, and I love Muay Thai. Muay Thai is great. Like with Muay Thai, you can do a lot of sweeps and throws, and you ain't got to do all that extra shit. Like how you do a karate sweep or a kung fu sweep, you got to get all the way down on the ground and swing your leg out and do a 360. No. You can do a beautiful sweep with Muay Thai with minimal effort. All you got to use is leverage. Muay Thai is great. So anyway, Knockoffpittypat wants to tell y'all that Devin has never taken any risk, and we know it's bullshit. He wants to use Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez's career, to shit on Devin. And essentially, they are on the same level as in terms of eliteness. And of course, he wants to reference Ring Magazine pound for pound list to show that Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez is higher, so therefore Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez took more risks. Well, It's interesting how you now want to use Ring Magazine as a reference when Turki Al-Sheikh owns Ring Magazine now. Turki Al-Sheikh owns the Ring, owns Ring Magazine. So now you want to ride on what Turki Al-Sheikh puts out? Okay, very interesting. Anyway, y'all, I just want to get this out the way before I do my workout. Not going to be on here long. Salute to Listen Well. I don't know who LaJohn Witherspoon is, but no, I'm not LaJohn Witherspoon. No. Don't know that person. Anyway, I'm going to get on out of here. I'm going to get my workout in for the day. Y'all stay safe. Yeah. Much love to you guys. Stay moving. Go out there and get your training in. Because there is a long road ahead and many obstacles on our way to freedom. Realize you have a blessed day as well. Salute to you, Queen Sister Cameron, for coming through. Thank you, guys. Ronnie Morning Coffee, salute to you. Paul Farrell, all you guys, thank you. Just listen, man. Knockoff. I've had my fair share of issues with Knockoffpittypat. At the end of the day, man, at the end of the day, if you have to use, if you have to leave out certain information to prove a point, right? If you want to shit on Devin Haney's resume, but you're leaving out entire fighters, you are deliberately skipping over certain fighters that Devin has taken on, and you want to devalue fighters that Devin has faced, when your fighter has not even close to taking the risks Devin has. Your Tonka Truck Davis would never do what Devin has done in his career. Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez is like 112 or whatever the hell weight he's at. Little boy weights. You have to go all the way to Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez to try to fish something out. It shows where Knockoffpittypat is coming from in regards to this. It is completely the gymnastics, the mental gymnastics. There has to be a certain level of hatred that you have to foster in yourself to go to those lengths to prove a point. Is my point. Anyway, when men call women all kinds of disgusting names like bitch and hoe. Okay, Frosty Prods. Okay. Yeah, I mean that's a take. Yeah. Anyway, y'all stay up. Much love. Like, share, subscribe, and let's keep marching forward toward freedom and truth. Peace out. And enjoy your Sunday.